Does it ever feel like confidence is this thing you have to fight for, and no matter how much inner work you do, it just still slips right through your fingers? Like, you know you should believe in yourself consciously, but your mind keeps pulling you back into the same old loops. If this is you, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to show you something no one has ever told you, that you're not missing confidence, you're running an old subconscious program. And once you understand how that program was installed, you can rewrite it. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make unshakable confidence your default setting and not a battle that you have to fight. Because if you think about it, people you look at and think, wow, they're so confident, they're not actually trying harder than you. Their minds are just running on a different software. And confidence is literally their default setting, not because they were born magical, but because their subconscious is playing a totally different script. And the thing is, you've been made to believe that confidence is a personality trait, like you either came out of the womb charismatic or you didn't, or that it's this mood that you get in when the stars show up and align. But what we actually know now is that confidence is way more empowering than that. Confidence is not a fixed trait. It's not a vibe that randomly shows up when you have a good hair day. Confidence is a skill, and it's a subconscious habit. And just like any other skill, you can build it, you can practice it, and you can literally rewire your mind to make it your new normal. So that's where we're gonna get into today. I'm breaking down the actual science of how your mental code gets written, and we're gonna look at why your subconscious is the powerhouse behind whether you feel confident or not. And then I'm gonna walk you through a simple 4-step science-based process to basically become the programmer of your own mind. So by the end of this video, you won't be chasing confidence anymore. You'll be installing it as a permanent subconscious habit, and I'm so excited for you. And if you've been around my work before, you're gonna notice this. You'll recognize this as the foundation of my Living Limitless system, which I teach in depth inside of my Becoming Limitless program. But let's get into the conceptual framework, your mind's operating system. So I want you to think of your mind as the most powerful computer ever built. And on this computer, you have two main operating systems. You have the conscious mind and you have the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is what you're aware of right now. It's the part of you that's listening to me speak, that's setting goals, that's making plans, that's using logic and reasoning and decision making. It's the part of you that says, I want to be more confident. The catch is, the conscious mind only runs at about 12% of your daily life. It's your manual control, but it gets tired, it gets distracted, and its willpower totally runs out. The other 88%, that's all run by your subconscious. Your subconscious is the deep level operating system. It's the millions of lines of code that run in the background that control your habits, your gut reactions, your emotions, and your deepest beliefs about who you are. So think about this as a computer. There's the part of the computer that you see and you can kind of control, right? You see the YouTube browser, you can go to your downloads, you can open programs and close them, right? That's the part of the computer that you can actually maneuver. That's your conscious mind. And then in every computer, under every app, under every file on the computer is code, right? It's a bunch of like letters and numbers that are making up everything that you see on the computer in the way that you see it. And I don't know if you know this, I think it's common knowledge, but like every pixel on your monitor, everything that you see, every website is written in code. So every time you go to click something, another line of code is kind of run in a split nanosecond. That's your subconscious mind. So to put it in perspective, while your conscious mind is juggling all of the thoughts, your subconscious is processing millions of bits of information every split second. It's what makes you blink. It's what keeps your heart beating. It's what triggers that knot of anxiety in your stomach right before a big presentation, all without you even really consciously thinking about it. That's why your reactions feel like they happen in a split second. It's because you're not actually thinking about it. It's just an automatic response that's coming from that line of code in your subconscious mind. How does this take place? How did all of this powerful subconscious code get written in the first place, right? That's the big question. Most of it is installed when you're younger. It comes from the little things that your parents say, the ways that your teachers react to certain things, the things you hear on the playground, the things you see other kids getting rewarded for, these tiny social wins and social failures that felt huge when we were growing up. That all gets implanted into our subconscious mind as truth. Every time someone says, be careful, don't mess that up, your subconscious quietly saves that as a line of code that says, cool, okay, risk is dangerous, don't risk things then, right? You create meaning around the experiences you had, and then the meaning gets programmed as truth. So every time you spoke up and it felt embarrassing, you created meaning around that. Staying quiet is actually safer, then no one judges me. That gets installed as another line of code. Everything you heard, felt, expressed, all that meaning you created around the things that you experienced got programmed into your subconscious as truth, and it became your code. So these programs then get stronger through repetition. So the things you hear most often, the things you see most often, the things you experience over and over again get repeated. That programming, that code gets repeated and it gets stronger. So, like in real life, when you hear something once, it kind of just kind of blows right through you. And then you hear that same thing a second time and you're like, kind of perked up a little bit. You're like, oh wait, I've heard that before. And then you hear the same exact thing a third time and you're like, okay, I guess I need to be paying attention. What did you say again? And then that's kind of what happens with the code through repetition. So the more you experience a certain thing, the more a thought is thought, the more a behavior is practiced, the stronger that pathway in your mind becomes. So this is neuroplasticity in action. The brain's ability to literally rewire itself based on what it thinks you need to survive. So another way to kind of think about this is picture walking through a forest. The first time you try to create a path, you're stepping over branches and you're pushing leaves out of your face and it's so messy, right? And it takes you forever just to get down the path because you're doing all of these things to move things around, take branches out of the path, right? But then if you walk that same exact route every day, it eventually becomes a clear trail, right? Eventually, it's the path you take automatically because that new path is now familiar and easy. Your thoughts work the same exact way. Whatever you repeat, either intentionally or unintentionally, becomes the path your mind prefers. What happens then as an adult is now you have this feedback loop. You have this feedback loop that's now based on the thoughts and beliefs and the meanings you created and the things that got coded inside your subconscious when you were younger. And a feedback loop is just a self-reinforcing cycle where beliefs equal behaviors, which equals outcomes, which reinforces the original beliefs. So it becomes this loop, right? And so I go into this loop more in depth inside of my program, Get Out of Your Own Way, which I'll link below. But let's say somewhere along the way, your subconscious picked up the belief, I'm not good enough, right? This is a big one. This is a popular one. So now without realizing it, your mind starts scanning for anything that might confirm that belief. You could have 10 wins in a day, but your mind will laser in on the one awkward moment or the one thing you forgot to say. That focus on the one thing that went wrong reinforces the belief, I'm not good enough, which then shapes your behavior, right? Maybe then you avoid speaking up, you avoid taking risks, you avoid being seen. And those behavior create results that then, look exactly like someone who's not good enough. So now your brain is like, see, I was right. I knew it all along. And then the loop tightens. The loop is then confirmed. Our mind needs these feedback loops. It's part of our evolution. It's part of our development. It's part of our science, our psychology. It's just how our mind works, and it's designed to help keep us safe. But it's also the way that people get stuck in loops of self-doubt, not because they're not good enough, but because science and psychology and the way that our brain and mind work are actually working against them. So we can acknowledge both things exist at the same time. We can acknowledge that this is how our mind works, and we can acknowledge that it's the exact thing and the exact mechanism that keeps us stuck. Because what happens is your subconscious is scanning your current world through the lens of your old programming that doesn't actually fit your life anymore. This is why when it comes to confidence and self-trust, some of that like garbage advice out there that's like, just fake it till you make it, or, just use more willpower, just be more positive, you'll figure it out. It just doesn't work long term, right? You can hype yourself up enough to get through one presentation, but like it doesn't actually last, right? It just dissolves and it fades, and now the next presentation you have to hype yourself up again. This is exactly why. You're trying to run your conscious desire for confidence on top of subconscious beliefs that say you're not worthy. It's like trying to run a brand new computer software on a 1995 computer, right? The system will crash. That feeling of being stuck or at war with yourself is real. Like, we're not denying that. We're validating that. It's real. It's actually happening. And the reason that it's happening is because your conscious mind is wanting to go one way while your subconscious programming is pulling you back another way. So understanding this is so important because it sheds the shame that you've been carrying around. This is something I see within my clients so frequently, is that they carry this shame because they have all of this evidence of, I've been trying to do the things, I've been trying to get better, I've been trying to move forward, but I can't, and I don't know why. And so then they internalize that as if it's a result of them and their capability and their abilities, when it's not. It's this mechanism. It's this system, it's this framework that is causing that to happen. So understanding this is so important for shedding the shame. And then the next part is the good news, the life-changing news, that just because it works that way doesn't mean that you're like destined for that to be your fate. We can actually change our programming. We're not stuck with our programming. You just need the right tools. You need to understand the mechanism, the system, and then you need to understand the tools that work with that system to actually create the changes that you need within the subconscious mind. And this is what neuroplasticity is. Neuroplasticity proves that your brain and your mind can change at any age, which means that you can become the programmer. So you can access the source code, you can get rid of those self-doubt viruses, and you can write new powerful programs for confidence. And it all starts with a clear and deliberate 4-step process. So we're gonna get into the 4 steps, but before we go any deeper, can you start to see a belief that is running in the background for you? Like one annoying little story your mind is whispering on repeat? If you feel comfortable, drop it in the comments below. Naming this will not only give you such a huge relief, but it'll help break the shame for other people too. So we're helping each other be seen. Let's get into how to reprogram your mind for unshakable confidence. And if you've been around my work, this is gonna feel familiar. This is based in my Living Limitless system. And the first rule of reprogramming any system is you can't write new code over old buggy code, right? You have to find the corrupt files first. You need to become aware of the limiting beliefs that are running your life on autopilot. Most of us are completely blind to these programs. We just think that the negative self-talk and the feelings of us being inadequate are just who we are. We like internalize it as a personality trait. But this is the biggest lie your subconscious tells you. Those beliefs are not you. They're just old habits of thought. This is why the very first phase of my Living Limitless system is awareness, is seeing and uncovering the loop, because you can't change what you can't see. So then the question becomes, how do we drag these hidden programs into light? One of the tools that I like to use for this is subconscious journaling. And this isn't your typical like Dear Diary journaling. This is becoming like an archaeologist where you're digging into your own mind with intention. So I want you to start with a specific area where you feel a lack of confidence. So for this example, we're just going to use public speaking just because it's an easy one. So ask yourself, when I think about this area of confidence, when I think about speaking in front of a group, what thoughts or feelings pop up? And write it down. You're answering this question by journaling it out. No matter how silly it feels, just let yourself go and just write everything that comes up. So maybe it's like, I'll forget everything and they'll all think I'm an idiot and my voice is gonna shake. Let it all out. Don't judge it. You want this stuff to come out because handwriting is a direct connection to your subconscious mind. So what's actually happening when you're writing about this topic is eventually, after writing it for a little bit, you'll start to access what's actually in the subconscious. And when you do this, you'll start to see your limiting beliefs for what they really are, not truths, but old, inherited, and often illogical thoughts of code. So what might happen is you start writing things like, I don't know, I just get really nervous and my heart starts to pound and what do I really think will happen? And so just keep writing and you'll start to feel this flow where you tap into like something a little bit deeper, like you're just writing and writing it. You'll get into this flow. And as you're dumping everything onto the paper, what you'll start to see is you'll start to get to the good stuff. Eventually, you'll start realizing that you're writing down like, everyone's gonna laugh at me and I'm gonna feel like an idiot again, just like that last time. Bingo, that's exactly what you want to happen. Because that's how you land on the limiting beliefs, the things, the programming that is living inside of your subconscious. And if you want more information about like how to pick out the limiting beliefs, I have a video on that, so I'll link that here for you. It'll definitely help with this process. But that's what you want to happen. You want to access the subconscious in a way where it's like, oh my gosh, there it is. You'll know, you'll feel it. You'll be like, that's crazy, that's illogical, that would never happen. Or that happened before, but it wouldn't happen again. You'll be able to pinpoint it, but you need to get into that subconscious flow in order to access it. As you do this, you'll start to see your limiting beliefs for what they really are. Again, not truths, but old, inherited. They'll feel rusty. They'll feel illogical. And then you can find patterns in it too. Bringing these thoughts from the subconscious, where you can now look at it, is the most important first step, because now you're taking invisible anxiety that just exists and you're turning it into something concrete sentences that live on a page that you can now look at, analyze, and most importantly, choose to delete. And now we move on to step 2, writing the new code. So once you found that old buggy code, it's time to become a programmer and write the new code you actually want to run. So you can't just delete a belief, you have to replace the old limiting beliefs with new empowering ones. So we do this with 2 awesome techniques, reframing and strategic affirmations. First is reframing. A reframe takes a limiting belief and consciously reinterprets it in a new way that serves you better. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about choosing to see the gray area, choosing to poke holes on what you used to believe, and finding and choosing a more useful and equally true perspective. And then the next step is to use strategic affirmations. And I know, affirmations really, they get such a bad rap as toxic positivity, and that's because people are using them wrong. You can't just repeat, I'm confident in front of the mirror if your whole body is like, no, you're not, right? It just creates a war inside of your body, like your mind starts fighting with each other, and then it makes you feel worse, honestly, because you're like, this should be working, but it's not. So effective affirmations are tools for rewiring your brain and your mind through repetition and emotion. You're carving out that new neural pathway that we talked about. And the trick is to create affirmations that feel believable and actually make you feel something. That's where most people go wrong. They look on Pinterest and they're like, okay, I'll say this one to myself, but it means nothing to them. And then when you say them to yourself, actually feel the words. So don't just say, I speak my mind clearly and confidently. No, give yourself the feeling, right? Actually imagine yourself being calm in your body and saying to yourself like, I speak my mind calmly and grounded. right? Tap into that sensation. And so once you find the affirmations that feel like they validate you, feel like they stick with you, what do you do with them? Here's what happens is when you're saying the affirmations, you're still using your conscious mind. And so getting your conscious mind to believe it is an important step. But in order to update the subconscious programming, you need to use tools that tap into the subconscious. So those are things like self-hypnosis, hypnosis recordings, subconscious journaling, subconscious scripting. You want to use these tools to actually take those affirmations and place them into the subconscious. The hypnosis recordings that I offer inside my programs, they're doing the work for you. You don't even have to figure out what affirmations you need. I've done that work and I'm giving them to you through the recordings. None of this is magical, it's just training. You are deliberately feeding a new signal to your mind, and at first the old program is gonna try to fight back, but if you stay consistent, again, the repetition, that new pathway will get stronger. You are actively, consciously writing the code for the person you want to become. And inside of my Living Limitless system, this is part of the rewiring phase, replacing the old subconscious pattern with new patterns, new code that actually support your authentic expansion. So, step 3 is to run the program, visualize and mental rehearse. So, writing new code is great, but it's useless if it just sits in the box. You have to get your subconscious to accept the new reality as familiar. So the best way to do this is with a technique that elite athletes use, surgeons use, world-class performers use, and it's visualization and mental rehearsal. So the wild thing about your mind is that it can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality. So when you mentally rehearse yourself doing something, you activate the same exact brain circuits as you would if you were actually physically doing it and living it out. So you're literally practicing success on a neurological level, building those new confidence pathways before you even step into the real world situation. This step is huge because we need your subconscious to buy into the new ways of being, believing, thinking, and acting, and this is another way you can do it. So this is where you start reconnecting with what I call your authentic self compass, the version of you who isn't running on the old loops, and visualization is what helps your subconscious feel what it's like to operate as that authentic version of you, as that truer identity of you. By doing this consistently, you're doing something incredible. You're creating memories of a future that hasn't happened yet, that your mind will think is real that has happened. When you finally walk into the real situation, then your mind doesn't freak out because it's not new territory at that point. It will feel familiar to your mind, and so your mind will think, oh, I've been here before. I know this script. We've succeeded this already. You've already built the mind wiring for success. The mental rehearsal becomes a subconscious script, and all you have to do now is just act it out in the real world. This is how we rehearse the identity we're becoming. And pro tip, if you do this mental rehearsal with a subconscious tool like scripting or like hypnosis, it literally skyrockets your reprogramming to another level. Things just click so much easier and quicker and more effortless. And that is some of the tools that I have inside of Becoming Limitless, which I'll link down below for you. And then the last step is step 4, save and execute. Take small, decisive actions. Action is what makes all of this real. It's the bridge between your inner work and your outer world. So without action, affirmations and visualizations are just kind of nice daydreams. I know you want to make actual real changes in your life, so the key to that is to take small, decisive actions that serve as proof to your subconscious. This is kind of where most people trip up. They think they need to take some massive, terrifying leap. They think that they need to go from being terrified of public speaking to giving a TED Talk tomorrow. Please don't do that to yourself. That's a recipe for overwhelming your nervous system and proving that old belief, going back to that feedback loop. The key is to take small actions that serve as proof to your subconscious. So your mind, your brain is a learning machine. It learns best from evidence. Your new job is to become a detective of your own competence, gathering small, undeniable pieces of proof that your new confident identity is real. So what does that actually look like? This is my daily embodiment method that I teach inside of Becoming Limitless. If you want to be more confident in social situations, don't force yourself to go to a huge party. Your small action might be making eye contact with the barista at Starbucks. Your action might be to just speak up for 15 seconds in your team huddle. That's it. Inside the Living Limitless method, this is what we call aligned action, not performance, not forcing, but action that reinforces your new identity you're stepping into. Each of these small actions is a small, manageable, and low-risk win. It is a win. It feels small, but it is mighty. Every time you take one of these tiny actions, you send a powerful message to your subconscious that says, see, the new code works. I spoke up and I was fine. This is great. Do you see this? I am the person who does this. This creates a new positive feedback loop, which is what you want. Your action provides evidence. The evidence strengthens your new belief, and the stronger belief makes the next action even easier. This is embodiment, where your subconscious shift becomes your new reality. This is how you build momentum. This is how confidence snowballs. Confidence is not the cause of action, it is the result of action. It is the reputation you build with yourself by keeping the promises you make. The goal isn't a huge outcome. The goal is to just break the old pattern of inaction. That's how you save your work and make the new programming permanent. These 4 steps mirror the core phases of my Living Limitless system: awareness, decode, rewire, and aligned embodiment, the natural way the subconscious creates lasting change. So this isn't about a quick fix, it's about fundamental shifts in how you see yourself. This is the long-lasting shift you're actually wanting. It's about moving from being a passive victim of your old programming to being the active architect of your self-belief. You're at the keyboard. You're deciding what code runs in your mind. That is what this process is for. So stop chasing the feeling of confidence and start building the subconscious habit of it. The power isn't out there waiting for you. The power is in here, living between both of your ears. It's in your mind, and you have the keys to make the change. And honestly, this whole rewiring process gets a whole lot easier once you can actually see the beliefs under your day-to-day reactions. So I put together another video that shows you how to actually identify your limiting beliefs, so that way you can actually get started in this process with step 1. So go there next, and I'll see you over in that video.